Hello. I'm like, we're finger gunning back. You guys can't see Rob, so I just look like I'm doing ridiculous things. Hi, welcome to the latest live update from the studio. We're cracking up. It's been a long couple of months getting prepped for Star Wars Celebration, which is currently a week away, as I keep seeing on Facebook with pictures of week away. Kudos to whoever came up with that one. Thank you for joining us, as always. This is, if you're seeing it live on Facebook right now, like and subscribe, as the kids say, and participate. This is a live Q&A. I'm here to answer questions. Rob's monitoring the feed as we go. And if you've got questions, you want to say hi, you want to throw out a suggestion, anything like that, please just do it in the comments, and we'll get to as much as we can. This is, like I said, 1 week till Star Wars Celebration. It's the point where anybody who works in any sort of licensed Star Wars starts to look like this. We're running on fumes a little bit, but it's a good time, and we've got a little bit of a breather for like just a couple of days, and then we're heading out to California. We're going to be setting up our booth. We've got a bigger space than we've had the last few shows. We've got literal tons of merchandise coming with us. Some great exclusives this time, and I'm really excited. We have a lot more folks that are buying from us on a regular basis. There's a lot more fans that we've gotten to know since the last celebration 3 years ago that we've never gotten to see. Customers, clients, some of them now friends, and it'll be really cool to connect with those folks in person. And that's probably the thing I'm looking forward to the most. My apologies to Treadwell J that I'm still not using a microphone. He thought he was trolling on YouTube, but no, it's a good suggestion. At some point, we're going to get that figured out. As high tech as some of the stuff we do is here, they've got to drag me kicking and screaming into this century, so we'll get there. This also started, the whole live vid thing started just as a very low-tech endeavor. We're definitely not trying to do... If we were doing anything produced, they wouldn't have me in front of the camera. So Rob had a few questions that folks posted when we put up that we were doing the video. We can talk about some of those. I can also, should I give them the rundown on the exclusives?
Yeah, let's talk about that first.
So, this was reveal week. We had been working on all this stuff for so long, and so this week was when we finally revealed all of the exclusives we're doing at the show. I'm going to take you kind of low to high here. So first up, the horror beyond imagination. Let me know how we're doing lighting and stuff.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine.
Cool. So that is our exclusive wood art plaque for the show. The decor exclusives we're able to sell not just at the show but also online for the time of the show. So if you are not going to make it to the show and you're into any of the exclusives that are on the decor side, that would be the wood art plaque, desk accessories, magnets, things like that. You've got the chance to get them only during the time of the show. So from next Thursday through next Sunday, they will be available on the website. There is a slight different price when it's on the website. When you're at the show, there is a show special price, which is part of Lucasfilm making sure that we're doing something special for the folks that make it there. But at the show, this is just $20, and we've got about 50 of them each day, and that's it. So if you want, a really cool piece of Stealth Geek and something that just calls back to all those making of specials, all the behind-the-scenes shots you see where crew members are wearing, the Blue Harvest. Hey, that's pretty good. Where they're wearing the Blue Harvest shirts, or where they've got the Blue Harvest hats on, or maybe you've picked up some crew gear over the years. It's a really neat little nod to Return of the Jedi and the making of it, and it's probably the most us wood plaque we've put out since the Cantina sign with the Spaga logo. Let's see, next up from there at $20, we've got, I believe these are $39.99 with the show. Normally we do our magnets one at a time, and when they're one at a time, they are $29.99. At the show, you'll be able to get this 2-pack for just $10 more. Stand not included, though we'll have those at the show too, at a show special price. So come on by booth 2518 and see us, and you can pick those up with your magnets. How am I doing with like the QVC turn here?
I don't want to buy one.
So, for anyone who is wondering, I think it's going to be obvious to anybody who's a fan of us what these are. If you haven't already seen it live on our page, these are Walrus Man's Cutoff arms from Star Wars in 1977, aka Ponda Baba. In the movie, you know, this is one of those like movie glitches or whatever. In the movie, when the scene first shows up, he's got these hoof hands, and when he pushes Luke, if you look close, he's got this big mitten. It's kind of like it's got sort of a scoop on it there. You know, it's a big sucker hand almost. A little bit of tuft of fur on the back. The original scene when they shot it in England, Walrus Man had those hands. And in fact, so did the Fly Alien and the Landspeeder Salesman guy Alien. They all had those hands. And part of the reason is because there's no fingers. So they're real easy to cast up. You didn't have to make seams on every finger. And a lot of times you'll see effects teams do this where like, if they've got a lot of aliens to make, all of a sudden aliens go from like 5 fingers down to 3. You know, everybody's got these hands because it's like, oh, this is going to go twice as fast if we don't have to fix that many fingers every time we cast one. And with no fingers, this guy's a breeze. So this is that hoof hand was in the scene when they first shot it. When they cut his arm off on the floor, you saw the big hoof hand and the gun. And they thought it looked kind of silly on the floor. So they didn't change anything else except the scene on the floor. And for that, they added a Wolfman hand that Rick Baker had. They borrowed that from him. And that wound up being paired off with a stripped-down version of Dr. Evazan's gun to make the alternate version that was in the final cut. And that's what this one is. So the final cut Ponda Bob arm is available like this. It'll be up for sale starting on the first day of the show, and that's going to be part of the Separation collection and around forever. But, well, not forever, but for a while. But the 2-pack is the only way to get the rare hoof hand. Also, these magnets are extremely strong that we use, so if you see me struggling, it's because I'm weak. But these are, so this 2-pack you can only get at Celebration or during the time of Celebration on our website, and those will be available starting May 26th, first day of the show, that Thursday. Look for them on the site. Come see us at booth 2518. Come pick yours up. Grab a magnet stand. Say hi to us. If you've seen these live videos, we need like a password. Could we could we get a code word for anybody who's seen one of the live videos? Maybe suggest a code word in the comments. And then that way, when someone comes, if this is how they've seen us, they can like mention the code word, and we'll know you're cool. Or maybe cool isn't the right word. The other Decor exclusive, and this also will be available at the time of the show and on the website at the show and on the website at the time of the show. Is our Wise Monkey Lizard's desk accessory. This is a paperweight, a desk sculpture, a really cool way for your friends to know that you're into Star Wars without it being super obvious. And maybe you just love Salacious Crumb. Maybe you just love Kowakian monkey lizards. Maybe you just like the whole 3 wise monkeys thing of see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. But this was something every time I heard the term Kowakian monkey lizard, I always pictured this in my head, and it was just 3 Salacious Crumbs sitting on Jabba's dais, doing the old see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, and so that's what we got here. They've got little spines and ribs and all of that showing through, and just a really cool faux bronze with plenty of patina and all of that stuff. Every one of these was made here in the studio. Every one of them hand painted. We should have about 75 per day at the show. They're going to be $99 at the show. On the website, a little bit more. And like I said, booth 2518. Come early, get online with everybody, and try and get your monkeys. What else did we reveal this week? I don't have these in front of me because we shipped the only ones we had to the show, and the other 4 that we had just sold. So this morning we put up. I know how these. Is that picture showing up? Okay.
Yeah, looks good.
So you can always go to the website, look in the custom furniture and decor studio, which is on the bottom right. If you go to the page the slash Star Wars page. And if you go to the home page, just click Star Wars and then scroll until you see the custom furniture and decor studio. So this is the latest piece in that. We had done, let's look at that. So there's a couple of them kind of next to each other, each sold separately. Sorry, a little bit of primer. I have flakes of primer on my hand because we're always doing things here. We had done chairs like this, both for set work and things like that in the past, and then more recently for someone's home theater. And when we did those, we did them all by hand. It was a mix of wood and carved foam and all of this other stuff, and it was a real challenge to make them. They were much more expensive than we wanted them to be. What we've done with these is partnered up with the folks that fabricate our Emperor thrones for us, which I think we get in at an outstanding price considering everything that goes into those. And they came up with this tab and slot construction that they can do on these. Great low VOC firm foam. It's a custom-made, stitched, ribbed fabric for the tops of them. They even do what they call a brush pass on it, so it's got a little softer feel, so it doesn't feel like brand new upholstery furniture. It's a really cool set. They're sold individually for $14.99. As you get more of them, the shipping comes down, and if you're getting more than 2 of them, contact us ahead of time for a shipping quote, because we can actually get custom freight rates that are pretty good once you get into like 3 and 4 of these. And for me as a Cantina fan, this is seating you can shoot Greedo in. It's really cool. There's almost a little bit of a mid-century modern kind of vibe to it too. Like I could see a bunch of these in a pea soup green conversation pit in the middle of a big living room or something like that. Because of the way we do them, we can also look at custom colors too. So if you're like, oh, that shape would be great, but man, I'd love them in white or in gray or something to match my decor, let us know. It might be something we can help with. And yeah, so those we are going to have at the show. They're not a show exclusive or anything. It's something that we've literally been working on for about 2 years, trying to get this kind of licked. And one of the issues was COVID just put such a bite on the furniture industry, whether that was them having to social distance and not having the crew they needed, or trying to keep people safe so that they weren't exposing each other, or just even the supply chain issues. The fabricators just didn't have the bandwidth to finish the prototypes on it for a really long time, and I'm so excited that they finally did, because now it's something that we get to put out there as an inline item, as something that's more of a wide release, and we actually had planned on them being in stock items, but the first 4 sold. Then we had another 4 that we put up on the website that were ready to ship, and within about 15-20 minutes of us putting that up, we had a few orders that knocked all of those out. So right now they're up at, I think we put them on the site at 8 to 10 weeks. We believe it's probably closer to 6 weeks production time, and the goal will be, with both these and the Emperor Thrones, our goal actually this year is by the end of the year to get them to be in stock items. We had been doing them as made to order for a very long time. The orders are steady enough with all of these that we're gonna, we're putting them with the fabricators, orders well ahead of time. And the only reason they're not in stock now is right now the orders just keep outpacing our buy ahead that we're trying to do to get them to have them in stock. Rob is looking at the glass. No, we're gonna can they see anything in a reflection?
I'm just messing with you.
You son of a So anyway, so that's all the stuff I have. Oh no, it's not. Duh. How about Max Rebo?
How about?
So this is the first in our archive collection, the super limited 83-piece signature edition that we're bringing to the show. Unlike the decor pieces, Lucasfilm asked us to keep this as an in-person only exclusive. So if you want the Max Rebo signature edition, you've got to see us at the show at booth 2518. Because there's only 83 of them, that's a little more than 20 a day at the show. We're going to see. And that's just me dividing things. We don't know if we're going to limit them per day. We're going to just see how the sales are. We don't want to have folks who, came all the way out there for Thursday to miss out by, you know, 1 or 2. So we're going to sort of play that by ear and see what happens. Hopefully, you know, hopefully they kind of last just long enough to get to Saturday. I'd like the folks that, you know, are only there for the weekend to have a chance at it. And if we feel that we have to make some limitations in order to make that happen, we may do that. We may say, you know, maybe it's only 30 the first day, 30 the second day, and that way we at least have 20 or so for Saturday. But we'll play that by ear. Again, in person only. Now, let's say you can't get to the show. Obviously, the first thing is try and find a buddy who's going to the show to pick one up. If you can't do that, you still have a chance at Max. You know, maybe you can't get the signature, but we are doing a numbered edition for this that comes out on June 7th. It'll be up for pre-sale. They will start shipping shortly after that. So anyone who pays in full, those numbered editions will probably be shipping within 4 or 6 weeks. These are all being hand painted by the folks in our shop. Bases are all handmade, hand cast here. Maxes are hand cast. He's in a tinted color when we get him, but then he gets completely painted and lots of layers and all of that. And we really try our best to match what Phil Tippett did on the original. So that numbered edition will be 250 pieces, like our other maquettes. Like the Jabba maquette that sold out earlier in the year, and there's your chance to get it if you're not going to be at the show. And yeah, I think that puts us ready for questions.
Yeah, I'm ready if you are.
Sure.
All
What do we
right,
got?
Jay says, "Hey Tom, after seeing that Cantina chair, I need that for my man cave. How do you go about turning a piece of a film set into something practical and usable in real life? Certainly has that cool factor."
Thank you. That is the toughest thing of it. You know, we've done them as set pieces where they're literally, just wood and bent pieces and then like a layer of vinyl or something like that. They're super uncomfortable that way. When we did the ones for the home theater that we did about 3 years ago now, maybe 4, that was done with a high density EPS as the core with cutouts for layers of 2 different densities of soft polyfoam and layered wood on the front, the sides that could hold initially the upholstery and then cover the sides. It was a super challenging way to do it. It worked because that was a one-off, but for this, really thankful for the partners we have. The folks that work on those Emperor thrones with us took a Photoshop mock-up that I did and figured out what that frame needed to be, figured out what the padding needed to be, figured out how what level of support it needed and all of that stuff. And that's what happened with this. They went through 2 or 3 prototypes. We went through some color choices. We went through some fabric choices, all of that stuff, of course. But it really is, it's like, how do you figure out what's too big for a regular home? What's too small for a regular home? These are about 24 inches wide. It's a little narrow for an armchair, but it's really wide when there's no arms, you know what I mean? And we wound up using a template from the side view that's really close to what the original chairs are, but with a little less dip in the back. Because when you look at, in particular, the chairs that are up in the front of the cantina where Luke walks in, they kind of come up and around and they really dip down, which would be just bizarre to sit in. So we kind of based them a little more off of the set that Han is sitting on, and took that profile and just tweaked it till it felt pretty comfortable. They're a little bit upright. They are definitely firm foam because we don't want these things to get too droopy over time. But they've got a great feel to them. They look Star Wars, but they look cool too. They have like kind of a mod look to them, which I love. And I'm excited to see, now that we've got a bunch of them out there in people's homes and man caves and stuff, I'm excited to see how people integrate them into their space and get some of those pictures and show them to folks.
We got a few people asking about the one-to-one reveal, the bust reveal. Is there anything you can give them on that?
I can't.
I know.
I want to. We would love to tell you what we're going to reveal at the show, but then it wouldn't be a reveal at the show. So Lucasfilm has us under strict orders and we want to keep them very, very happy with us. So at the show, that's when you're going to see the first bust, the first couple of prop replicas, the next few maquettes in the series, another piece of wall decor, and another magnet, all this stuff that's coming soon. And each of them will have, if not a specific date, as I, of course, look at the infamous board no one gets to see, will either have a specific date or it will have, a quarter or a month or something like that gives you a sense of when it's coming.
All right, Ian says, can't wait to talk to you all at Celebration. So thanks Ian. Andrew, he goes, thanks for all the great work in bringing in Star Wars archives into our collections.
You're welcome.
Will the one-to-one bust line start including aliens as well as droids?
That's a great question. So I would say absolutely. We have, what's interesting is, we've got a mix ahead of us. We're known as creature people. Me specifically, I'm known as a Cantina sculptor guy. I've sculpted most of those aliens at some point. It's actually weird that we haven't done those yet. With the archive collection, in order to get lineage on some of these things, we're starting with stuff where we have access in those regards, and we're starting with things that are either in the archives, which usually puts us in more Return of the Jedi territory, or that we otherwise have access to things that were either made for shows or made for production or one of the movies. And I think just, sort of almost luck of the draw, we just haven't gotten to a creature yet. We know it's overdue. I certainly think it's overdue. And there's a couple of Cantina creatures in particular I would just love to put in the mix. And it's good to know folks want that. We are definitely going to be doing it. There's just only so many hours in a day sometimes. And then it's also our schedule for the rest of this year, because we were kind of held back on a bunch of stuff so that it could be revealed at Celebration. Our schedule for the rest of the year is a bit busy in terms of number of things we're putting out and things that collectors are going to need to absorb. So as we get to some of those aliens, it might be a little ways down the road because we just don't want to overwhelm people's wallets and let alone their shelf space.
All right, this is a funny one.
Okay.
James says, when are we going to see a wood 3D printed Regal Robot mascot plaque? Would love to have one with my Regal Robot side of the room above your props.
That's pretty cool. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
All right, Dean asks, would you consider Pondo Baba's hand to be a hoof or a flipper since he's a walrus?
I've always called it a hoof because of the look of it. I've heard other people call it a sucker hand. The folks here working on it called it the spoon. Like he's got his C-3PO's cereal and he's just, for whatever reason I chose it. My favorite theory on those hands, though, and it's so funny because it was totally unintentional and then it just made sense later. I was on stage at Star Wars Celebration with Pablo Hidalgo doing one of our Cantina panels, and we were talking about the mystery of his hands changing and that it's in the fight. And Pablo is, comes from Canada, at least spent a lot of his life there. And so he goes, so he starts off with these hands, and then at the end, it's the other thing. It's like he got in a fight and he dropped the gloves like a hockey player. And he's like, what if they're gloves? And then I'm going if he's got them and the Fly and the Landspeeder got, it makes more sense that they'd be gloves than that they'd all have the same hands. So maybe what we need in another series of like in Obi-Wan or in Mando or something is someone to walk by a booth out in a marketplace on Mos Eisley, and a guy's just got a bunch of those up there like gloves, come and get them.
James asks, loves the magnet collections. Is there any way to buy as a bundle with the magnetic stands for those of us who don't put them on our refrigerators?
We don't, although the magnet stands are on sale right now. So if you go on the website, they're like $5 off what they normally are, and you can pick up a bunch of them that way. We have those ready to ship. We get them made kind of in bulk. Including them in with the magnets is a little tricky just because of licensing, and you can't mix non-Star Wars stuff with Star Wars stuff when you're doing combo deals. So that's why we don't mix them, but they are on the site. If you go to the more decor section, they're right up at the top, along with a couple of other magnets of our logo and stuff like that.
All right, Dean has a follow-up question.
Oh, gosh.
Are Max Rebo's ears also flippers since they appear to be under-evolved arms?
That's a great question, and I will ask Phil Tippett about this. The other thing I need to ask him is, what are the red balls? And
Don't ask him that.
Here's the thing. On the life-sized costume of Max, they are certainly ears. Their placement is a little higher. They definitely, are ears. On this, particular early incarnation where it's much more obvious that these are legs, I mean, those could be flippers. I don't know. They certainly have an earish look about them, but then he's got little flaps here too. So like maybe those are his ears and these are flippers. I don't know. It's a mystery. And we'll see what Phil has to say someday.
All right, I have to take a deep breath for this one.
Oh boy.
Fran says, all right, your designs, research, provenance, and attention to detail are impeccable. Totally appreciate the time your extraordinary team takes to create these works of art. Love that you seek to create a Star Wars collectible universe that's both fun and unique. And she said, oh, and how come we never see who's behind the camera?
You want to poke your face in?
No, I'm horribly disfigured, Fran.
I asked him too, and he goes, don't look at me. There's pictures of Rob on the website. Go to the About Us page. There's a shot.
Thanks, Fran.
If anybody's wondering what Rob looks like.
All right,
he's always in a hat, usually in glasses.
Handsome.
Extremely. Yeah. And that's why we don't put him on. I need to look good. So.
Parminda says, shoe, laces, and crumb.
That's it. That should be their names. That's shoe, that's laces, that's crumb. Thank you, Parminder.
All right, and James, also referring to, I believe, the Salacious, that bronze paintwork you guys are doing is great. Look forward to adding this to my one-to-one Salacious.
Cool.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, somebody, I think it was Gabe at Star Wars Prop Replica Reviews, took some cool photos of it on the base of his Salacious next to his, because he got one of the first Salaciouses when we put those out.
And sticking with that, Justin says, that's a very neat concept. Looking forward to picking one up to display with his Salacious.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. John asked a pretty fun question. Can you tell us about the unpainted Mr. Big behind you in the cabinet?
Yeah, I could.
And that's what I was looking for before.
So should I just pull those out for a
Yeah,
second?
yeah, totally.
So this is one of those. Let me see if I can do this without revealing anything.
Or breaking everything.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just pull these. I'm actually not gonna take the unpainted one out, but I think the story behind these are kind of neat. So let's maybe just do this real quick. So in working on the chess pieces, we accessed all sorts of research, and we made a point of really talking with Phil Tippett in depth, and John Berg and Dennis Muir, and guys that worked on the shot and the film, and getting their feedback and things like that. This is actually the original armature for Mr. Big. This is the stop motion mechanics that were below his skin. And what happens a lot with stop motion guys is they do a project and then they slice the skin up and they pull the armature out, because this took them, weeks of time to make by hand back in the day. And they reuse this on other creatures. And what happened in talking to Phil about it, he said, yeah, I made that armature when I was 17, years before Star Wars, decade before Star Wars. And he had a different creature on it. And I asked him what it was, and he sent me a picture. It's a terrible print of it. One day I got to do something proper. Of this, kind of Emir-ish looking AP thing. And so that creature I asked Phil about, and he said, oh, I've got it in a shoebox. It's falling apart. Do you want it? And so this is actually that original creature. The head is based on a reference casting Phil had made that we just put onto here with some of the original hair, because the original hair was there, but the head was destroyed when he pulled the mechanics out of it. But this is actually what went on for Star Wars. And so Phil had pulled this out of there to keep this armature. Then he built Mr. Big on it. And when Star Wars came around, he had Mr. Big, and that's one of the things George saw and said, hey, can we use that for the chess scene? And that was part of what led to him and John Berg doing that scene. And so it's just a really cool companion piece. It's a really cool piece of history. And the unfinished Mr. Big there was just as a context for all of this. I like to, if I'm making a display for myself, if I've got a piece that has some history, I like to put some other elements with it that give folks a sense of what it was or what it is or how it was used, especially when it's something like this where it's just mechanics. You know, maybe you'd look at this and could ID it, but maybe you couldn't. So, you know, a cool photo with it, or in our case where I had access to those 3D files, we printed a spare to go side by side with it, and I think it's a neat way to do that.
All right, James says he's not able to get the Celebration to pick up a signature edition Rebo, but he's looking forward to hopefully getting his hands on a numbered one.
Excellent, thank you. That's why we did that. We know that not everybody can get there. We wished, you know, it's one of these things where the alternative there was to do a totally unique character only at the show. So I'm very glad that what we're doing is the signature edition for that reason. So you still have a chance to get that sculpture and bring it into your home.
And speaking of the Armature, John asked, would you guys ever sell the Mr. Big Armature replica like the one in the cabinet?
The Mr. Big, oh, just the replica of the Armature? Probably not, because one, if we were making this, we would probably do it with folks that do this sort of thing for the films, and it's a surprisingly expensive venture. We did look into it at one point, and we may still do this. We had a few people asking about a custom project of armatured silicone Mr. Big and hunks. But I think it would surprise people that, you know, even just for 2 figures, you're looking at more than, you know, probably double or more than the original set cost. And it's just, unfortunately, just the nature of the type of work and the type of folks who do it. And, you know, if you want the best, you got to get the best. So.
All right, Christoph says, how do you come up with the idea of doing the Max Rebo concept maquette?
You know, for us, we've been doing a lot of the concept maquettes because we're all, you know, fans of the making of the movies. And it's something more than just a statue, you know, like you can go anywhere and get a statue of a character. There's Gentle Giant, there's Sideshow, there's, you know, even some of the Hasbro stuff is great now. They've always been great, but you can get that stuff. Even Diamond Select, I think, is doing some scaled stuff. What we wanted to do were artifacts. We want to make things that relate to the real props, whether that's a replica of a prop, whether that's a recreation of a concept item or some pre-production element or some piece of that production, some tangible thing. Right now, you know, much of it in the archives that we're able to capture in high resolution and output and bring to folks. To me, that's just super cool. And it's the stuff I want to collect. I mean, and there's your, I should remember this in the future. Here's your short answer. The way we thought of it is, we wanted to have it. That's how we thought.
That's how most of our stuff is made.
I mean, when I got started making monsters, that's how it got started. You know, it was like, I wanted, I would see the Don Post masks from Star Wars, and they only had Chewbacca and the Cantina band member when it came to the aliens. And I wanted the Given, and I wanted the Horntop guy, the Don Rickles looking alien, and I wanted Yam Nose, and, you know, all these different characters that no one was making. And Mosep, you know, all these like really cool snaggletooths, you know, and it was just like, okay, well, if no one's making them, I guess I should. You know, it's like, I want this, so how do I get it? I'll make it. And that's, you know, taught myself how to sculpt, taught myself how to mold and cast, and, you know, eventually it all leads here. And so what do? We go back to what we've done our whole lives, which is figure out what stuff we want to have that's cool on our shelves, and then give folks a chance to get it.
All right, Kevin says, hey, Tom, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thanks, Kevin. I feel like we need a drop.
He says, do you see your team focusing more on original trilogy stuff, or will you span out to the prequels?
I think there's an opportunity in the prequels. Yeah, there's a chance we'll do it. Right now, there's just so much original trilogy stuff we want to do. I feel like we're going to have to... we're going to have to get through a bit of original trilogy stuff before we start digging into the prequels. Because I don't want to... Man, it's so easy to get distracted. There's so much that we want to do, and there's so much that we now have reference for, or scans, or you know, measurements and color matched photos, whatever. Like, we've researched the hell out of so much stuff, including some prequel stuff. And there's a few key pieces in the prequel stuff that we've been looking at in particular that are like, oh, when we get there, that's it. We're not there yet, but when we get there, that'll be it. But if there's stuff you want to see, and especially if there's specific stuff, if there's something you're like, oh, I remember there was an online documentary when the movies were coming out, and I saw this, I'd love to see that. Give us stuff like that. Tell us about it. We'd love to hear it, and maybe it can work into our mix.
All right, Wampa Prosthetic asks.
Love the name, by the way.
Do you have the ability to do a one-to-one Cad Bane from the Book of Boba Fett?
Ability, yes, and it's certainly within our license as well. I don't know that it's something we would necessarily do as an inline thing. I think it probably is a little better suited to a custom request or something like that. But yeah, certainly doable as a bust, figure, or whatever.
Armando asks, will there be more signs in Arabesh?
I don't know. So most of the stuff we do, we tend to avoid Arabesh. Not that we avoid it, but we tend to gravitate towards the stuff from the earlier films before Arabesh was a thing. And so, that's why you're seeing like the Cantina sign with the Spaga logo, as we jokingly call it. Those weren't letters, those weren't characters, those were just, cool shapes that someone in the art department thought would make a nice sign. And I think there's a chance to see some more of that stuff. There's definitely a chance to see some more, kind of rare early imagery, whether that's random poster art or if it's, other sort of behind the scenesy stuff. There's alternate takes on things and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff like that we like for the wood plaque line for sure.
A couple of people asking about international sales. You want to just cover that quickly?
Yeah, it's something that unfortunately is unlikely to change anytime soon. It is a limitation on our license. Every license has a territory. Every license has a place that your licensor tells the licensee where they can ship. Our territory is the USA, Puerto Rico, and Guam. It does include U.S. military bases anywhere in the world, which is great, and we've had some great customers that ship on a regular basis to themselves out there, and thank you for that. And the other thing is, anyone can order. If you're in, anywhere in the world and you want to place an order, you can do it. The only thing is you need to ship to a U.S. location. So a lot of folks from around the world do order, and a lot of them, and everyone that does ends up shipping to a U.S. location when they do it. I wish I had a more direct solution. I wish it was completely up to us. There's certainly a lot of factors that play into that as well, but that's what we've got for now.
Fran says the banter is killing her, and she seriously wishes she could buy everything. So thanks, Fran. Brian says, wish I could make the celebration to meet you all. Looking forward to tuning into your panel with Gabe.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, Brian.
And sticking with panels, a second question for Andrew. He was also looking for any update whether or not there'll be a live stream of your panels at Celebration.
I'm not 100% sure on that. That's something that Lucasfilm handles. I think yes, but that's purely a guess based on some other stuff I've heard. You can certainly ask folks at Celebration, and just keep your eye out on the StarWars.com site. For anybody who's curious about the panels I'm doing, if you go to the news page of Regal Robots, go to regalrobot.com, hit the big news button in the middle, and I think it's the second or third one down should say my panel schedule for the show. Right now I've got a panel at 2:30 on Thursday, and that is the Lucasfilm High-End Collectibles Update with Brian Merton from Lucasfilm, who runs the category. You'll also have folks from, I think, Bandai and EFX and Sideshow there, and maybe a couple of the other licensees. The cool thing about that panel is, one, it's 90 minutes, but every licensee has to bring something to give away. So if you go to that panel, you've got a chance, I think it's like 1 in 6 or 1 in 7, however many licensees there are, you've got a chance of winning one of those things, and they're usually cool things, like a couple $100 or more. So if you're going to be there, that's a great panel for. 6 o'clock on Thursday, I've got the original movie props and wardrobe collecting panel up in the collector's stage. That's with Gus Lopez, that's with Steven and Brandon from Prop Store, that's with Dave Mandel, who's got a great props podcast called, The Stuff That Dreams Are Made Of. It's him and Ryan Condal. Ryan's showrunner on the new House of the Dragon show. Dave is showrunner on Veep and Curb Your Enthusiasm, and now the White House Plumber Show. Both huge collectors, great guys, really funny. Check it out. Dave is always a riot at the show too, so come see us at 6 o'clock there. Friday, I believe I'm doing booth tours with a couple of people, so you might see some streams of that. Saturday, I'll be doing a streaming interview on the StarWars.com stage, I believe, and then Saturday night, Gabe's podcast thing from 5 to 6 on the podcast stage, and then Sunday, this is my favorite, we're doing the behind the scenes making of the creatures of Return of the Jedi, and in particular, we're focusing on Phil Tippett's shop and the ILM Creature Shop, where they made all of the Jabba's Palace aliens and skiff guards and all of that fun stuff. Our special guests on that are Jason and Gabe from Blast Planks Podcast. Hey guys, who I'm the unofficial third host of that show. I seem to be on there all the time, but I have such a good time talking to those guys. They also know a ton about Return of the Jedi and the making of, so they're really cool on there. And then Kirk Thatcher is going to be our guest. And I've done a couple panels with Kirk in the past. He's a blast. This is a guy who, knows where the bodies are buried, kind of thing. He's going to be able to tell you stories about what it was like underneath the Sarlacc in Yuma, Arizona, during the time they were shooting Return of the Jedi. He'll be able to tell you all the stories about them making stuff in the bowels of ILM and coming up with all of these monsters. And he's just a super fun guy. And for anybody that doesn't know this about Kirk Thatcher, he's a Muppet director. He worked on the Muppet Haunted Mansion recently, and he is the punk on the bus from Star Trek IV, playing "I Hate You" on the boombox that Spock gives the nerve pinch to. So, and he was a producer on that movie. So, anyway, come to the show. Come check it out. 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the Twin Suns stage on Sunday. It's a lot of fun. I know I just dumped all that at you. Go to the news page on Regal Robot, regalrobot.com/news, or regalrobot.com and hit the button for the news, and you'll be able to go and see the panel schedule. You'll get to see the summary of all of our different exclusives, and you'll get to see stuff all about the new Cantina Chairs that we just put up today as well. We've got a bunch of photos and a little information there, and you can certainly go and check out the product page on those and order a couple to bring home to your house.
We got a few people who really liked your explanation about the archive collection and what we're doing with it. So,
awesome, thank you.
Love the explanation and the goal of the line. And Christoph says, amazing answer. Thanks. I aim to get the signed maquette through a friend of mine who will be there. That will be my first collectible from you, and I'm sure not the last. Keep up the good work.
Wow, thanks.
So, thanks, Christoph.
That's a great one to start with, man. Thank you so much.
Rick is asking, any Mando or Ahsoka stuff in the works?
Nothing Ahsoka at the moment, but generally, that stuff we get a better feel for once the shows come out. And in terms of Mando, do we have anything Mando in the works, like specifically? We have a couple things in the mix that are like maybes for like magnets and stuff. We don't have anything.
Well,
I'm not seeing
besides the one big thing we have coming.
Oh, shit.
I mean, there's also that.
Right, yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Like, it's been a long week.
We definitely have a Mando, and it's only a week away.
A week away?
In 1 week, we'll be at the show. We'll be debuting one Mando piece. That's a really cool thing. It's a prop replica, and it's something. It relates to something we made for the show, which is kind of cool. It gave us the chance to not just have a piece that has even a 3D scan or anything. It could be mastered from the original molds because we were the folks that helped make it, which is a real fun thing for us to do when we get to do stuff for the shows.
John's just actually saying ship to is a good option. He's used it before to get things out of the country.
I can't know any of that.
Right.
So.
All right, so we have, apart from Celebration, will you be able to visit Disneyland? Will Regal Robot be at D23?
Regal will probably not, will definitely not be at D23. I will say this. Doing these shows is a massive undertaking. It's a huge expense as well, but that's its own thing. Shockingly huge expense, as this is the part of the reason I look so tired. It's like part of it is just from the hours and part of it is just watching the money go away. But no, it really is a massive effort. It's funny, Rob and I were just talking about this yesterday, I think, when they talk about doing these shows back to back, like the next show is only 1 year away. like you start to go like, oh gosh, can we do this again? You know, we want to make sure that we're coming to these shows and we're bringing our A game. Last time around, we had a great show. We brought an exclusive. We brought a lot of merchandise. But since that time, we have many times over expanded the number of pieces we have. I want to say that we're bringing over 2,000 individual items to this show, which for us is huge. Prior shows, you know, we were lucky to bring 500 or 600 pieces. So it's a huge undertaking getting all that stuff made. We're making so much of it right here in the shop. There's all this effort behind the scenes that goes into these shows. And, you know, to do another one like D23 so close to this one, I think might put us under. So that's the long answer for no, we're not going to be.
Kevin is talking about the Cantina chairs. He says they're gorgeous, and he says he feels that the Falcon chairs and the jar table chairs are right around the corner.
So I wouldn't say they're around the corner. They're definitely things we've looked at. In fact, I had kind of hoped the Falcon chairs might be something that we could even put out in tandem with this. What I would say is this: the Falcon chairs are based on an old racing car form. Right now, we don't have a practical solution for that gets them out at a cost where we feel comfortable with it. So I don't see those coming anytime soon. The jar table chairs are weird. So you know, anybody who's seen them, give them a really good look. Those were sculpted in clay and molded in cast. So those are like fiberglass, rigid chairs. They would not be very friendly to have in your living room. I don't know that we'd tackle those. We've looked at them in the past as a custom thing for a few people who wanted like a nook made out of them. We've looked at them in the past kind of like, is there some fabric-y way to do this? Sort of like we did with the Emperor throne, where we take the hard elements but turn them into fabric. It's a tough one to do in any sort of a like functional, comfortable way. Right now, the Cantina chair was the one that we had that path forward, so that's why that got bumped up, and that's why that one's the one that's out there. You know, the other ones, we're certainly thinking about them. We're always, especially the pilot chairs, you know, as a desk chair, that's just a gimme. But unfortunately, you know, we don't want it to be a $4,000 or $5,000 chair, so we've got to figure out some way to make that isn't going to put people under.
Aaron said he missed what the stop motion maquettes are on either side of you. You think you can give a quick rundown again?
Aaron, wait till the video's over and rewind it. Just quickly, this is the original armature from the Mr. Big puppet that was in Star Wars. Very useful when we were doing our edition on this. We were able to measure a lot of stuff off of this to make sure our scaling was right, because even though you have scans and things, sometimes you want to double check. This was a creature that a 17-year-old Phil Tippett made all those years ago in the late 60s when he was in junior college, and it used to be on this armature prior to Star Wars. And Phil removed this skin from it, saved it in a shoebox, and many years later gave it to me, which is one of the coolest things. I'm so happy about that. And this armature then was reused for the Mr. Big and Star Wars, and so that's what those are.
John says he wants a lounge chair made with Chewbacca fur.
I'll tell you what, we've got enough fur in the shop right now. We're currently in the process. We have a couple of people who ordered the life-size Chewbaccas with the bowcasters, and we've got about 10 of the busts that they're just starting a run of. So anybody who's been thinking about a Chewbacca bust, this is a really good time to get it. I think it's normally like a 16-week wait. If you're paying in full, now it would just be probably about 2 months, maybe the most. I think by the end of June, they'll probably be able to start moving some of those out.
And Marcel asks, where does the name Regal Robot come from? What inspired it?
I had, my previous company is Tom Spina Designs. With that company, we do all sorts of sculpture and prototyping, and you know, whether that's bronzes, wax figures, creatures for commercials, or you know, things like that. And we restore the original artifacts of things for places like the Lucasfilm archives, the Henson archives, collectors, auction houses, all of that fun stuff. TSD, as we shortened it to, doesn't have an elevator pitch. We do too much. So when the opportunity came for us to get the license and do the Star Wars stuff, I thought, I'm not going to add one more thing to my elevator pitch for TSD. I need something focused. I need something that can have its own fun little identity. And can be known for one thing, and that's where Regal Robot started. The name and the identity of it was tricky because it's a combination of finding something that is not being used, finding something where the domain name and the all of the social medias are available and stuff like that. We didn't want to have one of these things where you'd have a website that would be The Regal Robot, and then you'd have like at Real Regal Robot on Twitter or whatever. It's just at Regal Robot everywhere, and it's regalrobot.com. So, I was really excited when we came up with the name to find the socials were available, and the name came out of the logo that we have for my other company, which is if you go to tomspinadesigns.com, the logo is an Easter Island head. It's a Moai statue. I always loved ancient sculpture and things like that, and since we were doing sculpture, I thought it made sense. And there's a bit of mystery, a little Indiana Jonesiness about those things. So we have this thing, and he's kind of got the head turn, and he sort of looks like me with a big nose and all. And it has a kind of a nobility to it. It's a really neat looking logo. Rob actually, logoized it. A different Rob did the initial pass with me. I did a sketch. He gave me like kind of a cartoony version of it, and then Rob really broke it into like just positive and negative, and so now it's just the white highlights over black, and it's real sharp. And another friend of ours, I was going through different names, and we were trying to find, this is a long way to get there, but we were trying to find something that referenced that logo. And he said, well, what I like about your other logo is it's Regal. And that's when I was just like, Regal Robot. Like that could be, like that sounds like a thing. That's got to exist. So immediately we're like hitting Google and all this stuff. It's like, it doesn't. Oh my gosh, And we found the only hiccup was the domain wasn't available for 30 days. So it was going up for auction 30 days later. It was up for auction. It ended in 30 days. And so we wound up having to, we squatted all the social media and we put a bid in for the domain, and we wound up getting it for like $75, which was really, really cool day when that domain came through, because then we knew, okay, let's process the paperwork for the incorporation, let's push forward with the license. And it was about a year after that Regal debuted to the public. But prior to that, it was, the old image of the duck where it's very calm on the top of the surface, but underneath it's just all paddling and legs.
Fran says Regal Robot is a catchy name with a great tagline. So thanks, Fran. John says, please, please, please do a Gamorrean bust.
That would be really cool to do. There are some cool Gamorrean busts in the archives, definitely among the various maquettes and things like that. There's one in particular that's real neat. There's a bunch of different busts in there, though. That's one of the things I like about the maquettes. Some of them are full characters. Some of them are real big. Some of them are real small. Some of them are just a bust in different scales. So it's going to be a cool collection when we get them going, and when you start getting all these very different things, all these different sculptors, different hands working on things, and all these creative takes on different aliens. And what's neat is they're also like, in a way, they're what could have been on some of the aliens, or they're just a fresh look at an alien you've known forever, and that's like a cool thing. It's like hearing a band do a different live version of a song, or finding an early version of a track, going through and listening to that. I love that kind of stuff, and that's what I'd like this maquette line to be.
We're caught up on questions. How about giving a recap on the exclusives and our booth number again?
I'm gonna let me move these guys out of the way so that they're not. I don't want to accidentally elbow one of these guys right off the table. So, booth number 2518. We've got our decor exclusives. The decor exclusives will be available both at the booth 2518 and on our website for the weekend of the show. So from Thursday to Sunday only, you'll be able to get all three of these online and at the show. If you order them online, we will be making them to order, so there'll be a little bit of a wait. If you are at the show, you will be getting them right away, taking them home, putting them in your suitcase and hanging them on your wall or on your desk or on your fridge or wherever it is you put your stuff. Additionally, we will have the in-person only Max Rebo Signature Edition. This is only 83 pieces. Get to the booth early, booth 2518, if I haven't mentioned that. Also, just remember, Max has an outrageous backside, and he has only 2 limbs. don't tell us Max has legs underneath there or he's sitting in an organ. This is all there is of Max. When you see him in the movie, you're seeing everything you get, which I love. If you can't make it to the show, or if you don't have a friend that can come and get this for you, rest assured you will have a chance to get this sculpture and continue your Maquette collection and your archive collection at your house. We are doing a numbered edition that goes live on June 7th on our website, so be sure to stand by and check that out when the time comes. And tell your friends. And then, if you just happen to need some cool furniture, let's just pick just one of these. The Cantina-inspired chairs just went live today. These are available for order now. We've already sold a handful of them this morning. All of the stock that we had pre-made before the show have sold through, but we will make them to order now. They run about 6 weeks. I think we have them as 8 to 10 weeks on the site just to be safe, but we're hoping for about 6 weeks. And within about a month or within about 6 to 8 weeks, they should be an in-stock item on the site too. So folks that are ordering in the midsummer will just order and get them right away. And there's a payment plan on those. So if you look at them and you're like, I want 2 or 3 of these, you don't have to buy them all at once. You can spread the payments out over, I think it's a 6-month plan. And it gives you hopefully a way to bring some Star Wars style into your space in a cool new way.
Mark asks, will there be a supply of wood plaques at the show for sale?
There certainly will. Wood plaques are probably a half a ton out of the stuff that we ship there.
Literally.
Not even a joke. I think they're even more than that. I want to say that it was, I don't know what the tonnage was on the Blue Harvest alone.
Yeah.
But, it was a lot. We had one pallet that was about 600 pounds, and I think that might have been only the Blue Harvest plaques. But yes, we're bringing a ton
Literally a ton
of the wood plaques. We're bringing a whole bunch of things like the mini skulls and the wall skulls and the Docking Bay 94 resin plaques and all the different magnets we do. It's going to be a really cool booth with plenty of stuff. And then also in addition to that, a whole bunch of cool stuff that you'll want to take pictures with and a bunch of stuff you'll want to take pictures of because it won't be available for sale yet, but you'll be getting literally the first look that anyone's had at these things. So that'll be, something cool to check out at booth 2518. We're right near Funko, we're right near Hasbro, we're right behind Hallmark. Fight through their crowds and get to us. Support the little guy. So come check us out and come up with a code word. Even if we don't know it, just tell it to us like it's a real thing.
We'll pretend we know.
Yeah. It's like, hey, what's going on, Tom? Pumpkin patch. And like a real awkward wink. And then we'll have security take you away. But yeah, come see us at the show. Make sure you tell us this is where you've seen us. Make sure you tell us where you found us, who told you about us. We love hearing about how folks find their way to us. And please, 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 share with your friends. If you see stuff on our site that you think is cool, get it out there to all your friends so that they can come and join us and be a part of the fun. Thank you, as always, for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, same thing. Hit the like buttons. Hit the follow button, whatever that is. Whatever the kids do today, do that. And tell your friends to do it too. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.